I am not a conservative. I think that conservatives get most issues wrong. I think that on most issues, the conservative perspective is indefensible. I think that most conservative policies are dumb and destructive. But there is the occasional conservative policy that is required. And in those rare cases, I will support these conservative policies wholeheartedly. Here I am going to speak about two conservative policies that New Zealand requires. These policies are conservative in a traditional centre-right sense. I say this because modern conservative movements, especially in the USA, have increasingly been taken over by fascistic tendencies. These policies are conservative in a far more respectable sense. My proposed policies are simple. A supreme and entrenched constitution to protect individual rights and civil liberties. An increase in the age of consent from 16 to 18. These are two very simple conservative reforms that are required. A supreme and entrenched constitution is an utter imperative. This is a conservative policy because it exists to protect individual rights and civil liberties, things that conservatives have traditionally claimed to value. This is a good policy. The New Zealand government has a terrifying amount of power. I don't think most people understand just how powerful the New Zealand government is. There is nothing protecting you and your rights. If they wanted to start executing and torturing people, they could do so. The government is virtually unconstrained. It possesses a truly terrifying amount of power. We should not wait to learn that the hard way. We should restrict the power of the state while we can. The state is a very dangerous institution. A quick look around the globe reveals that to be the case. We should never assume that our society is somehow unique or exceptional. If brutal authoritarianism can happen overseas, it can also happen here. We must restrict the power of the government before it does. It may seem an unlikely prospect that brutal authoritarianism could emerge here, but things can change a lot very quickly. Just look at how US politics has changed over the last 10 years. At present, the only thing standing between us and brutal authoritarianism is the decency of politicians and the intelligence of voters. That is one unreliable safeguard. We need a supreme and entrenched constitution that will protect our rights and freedoms. We need a supreme and entrenched constitution that will limit the power of the state. We must establish such a document to protect the people of this country from the brutality that states can and do commit. This conservative reform is a necessity. And then there is the second reform: increase the age of consent. This is a conservative policy for fairly obvious reasons. Although most self-proclaimed conservatives are more interested in fear-mongering about transgender people than passing basic policies that would actually protect young people from grooming and abuse. The age of consent should be 18, not 16. In fact, we could even make it higher than 18. 16 is far too low. This allows for relationships characterized by massive power imbalances regarding maturity, life experience, and legal rights. Such relationships are ideal for abuse and exploitation. The low age of consent encourages and facilitates bad behavior. Immature and inexperienced young people are easily taken advantage of and exploited by older individuals. This must be prohibited. We must raise the age of consent to protect young people. We must act to reduce the dangerous power imbalances at play. These power imbalances are ideal for abuse and exploitation. They must be eliminated. This conservative policy is a necessity. New Zealand needs some conservative reforms. I agree with the left on most issues. I would like to see a left-wing party adopt these conservative policies. These policies are a necessity. These policies could help to win over right-wing voters. These policies would alienate few, if any, left-wing voters. They are a moral necessity and an electoral asset. It is time to embrace them. It is time to make these conservative reforms a reality.